Sometimes you wish you could go back in time and wipe your mind. Hi, I'm Lucy, 32 years old, and my mother in law Daphne, 54 years old, moved in with me and my husband Chris, 32 years old, into our home almost 4 months ago after she had separated from her husband Paul, 58, after 2 decades of marriage. No one in the family knows precisely why they didn't work out. I have asked my husband many times, and he always tells me he knows nothing. For the first few months of living with us, his mother would cry herself to sleep. We could hear her through our walls because of how loud her sobs were. Not to mention, the following day her eyes were always red. She tends to avoid me, which I wouldn't mind if I hadn't noticed she's normal around my husband and her other children and their significant others. It's just me in particular she doesn't get fancy with. One night before bed, I decided to ask my husband about it.
Lucy, don't be crazy. My mom loves you.
I'm sure she does. I mean, she's not rude to me, but she's always in her room when you're not home.
Maybe you remind her of marriage. We just got married 6 months ago, and what just happened? Dad ended things 2 months later.
That's silly to compare. Your siblings have wives and husbands. What makes me different?
As I said, we just got married.
Maybe he had a point, but I was still saddened that she didn't like to be around me. I tried to do nice things, such as buying her favorite tea, ensuring she was always fed, and asking if she would like to take a walk down the park with me. She always said no. I don't know how long she's planning on living here, but I was hoping sooner than later because her bedroom is supposed to be the nursery. Chris and I were planning on starting a family, but we had to stop for the sake of taking care of his poor mom's broken heart. Other than the baby, I didn't mind having her live with us. That was until I found out why she didn't like me. Chris's sister Betty came over with her 2 kids for dinner. It was Chris, me, Betty, the 2 kids, and Daphne sitting around the table enjoying the company. Chris suddenly got up from his seat and excused himself. He came back a few moments later with a box. "Oh, Chris, you shouldn't have," Betty teased.
Oh, you're hilarious. Here you go, sweetheart.
My husband said, handing me the box. Um, what's the occasion?
Well, with my work kicking my butt, I know that I missed our 6 month anniversary, and I wanted to make it up to you for our 7.5.
I opened the box and found a beautiful floral dress. I have been eyeing this for a few months, but I haven't collected the money for it. Oh, Chris, you shouldn't have. Thank you. That is so beautiful. I looked out of the corner of my eye and witnessed Daphne's glum expression. When she noticed me, she gave me a half smile. "How lovely," she said weakly. After dinner, I went upstairs to hang the dress up so it wouldn't collect wrinkles. The family sat around in the living room except for my mother-in-law. She randomly disappeared. She often did that, so I paid it no mind. While sitting and talking, Betty told my husband and me she was going on a date the following week. She asked if I could borrow some jewelry. Betty hasn't been on a date since the children's father, and that didn't end so well. I, of course, said yes and went up to my bedroom. There, standing against the closet, was my mother-in-law. Why are you in my bedroom?" "What?" "Why are you in my bedroom?" "I just wanted to take a look through your closet. You have such a beautiful dress. I didn't know that would be such a bother." It's not." We stood there awkwardly for a few seconds before she went back downstairs. I don't know why I said it wasn't a bother because it kind of was. After Betty and her kids went home, my husband and I went straight to bed. For the most part, I'm a light sleeper, so when I heard my closet door open, my eyes shot open. There, standing by my closet, was Daphne, and she was looking right at me. I was mortified considering how late and dark it was. I couldn't even speak. Instead, my mother in law shut the closet door and exited the room. I didn't sleep well for the rest of the night. When my husband woke up the following day, I told him what I saw.
My mom? You must be joking.
Why would I joke like that? I saw her lurking in our room. As soon as I said that, Daphne came downstairs. Daphne, can we talk for a second? Good morning to you too. Can't I get a cup of coffee first? Why are you pretending I didn't see you last night? What are you talking about? In my bedroom? By my closet? Oh my lord, you're still on about me looking through your closet after dinner? What? No, I saw you in the middle of the night. Oh dear child, no, that wasn't me. Did you have a nightmare? I don't know. It sounds like it. You must really not like people admiring your wardrobe if you're dreaming about it. No, that's not it. She had somewhat convinced me that it was simply a bad dream, but I still had suspicions. The next couple of nights, I had trouble sleeping, which was kind of a good thing because I was able to stay up and see if my mother in law did come into my room at night. But after weeks went by and nothing came of it, I soon forgot about the incident. Things didn't get weird again until it was my husband's promotion dinner. He wanted me to wear the dress he bought. I did so gladly, having stared at it long enough. The problem was, it didn't fit. It was too stretched around my waist. Babe, I thought you knew my dress size.
Of course I do. It's a 4.
And lo and behold, once I looked at the tag, it did read 4, and it was from the same brand I usually shop at. I inspected the dress and noticed that the waist looked as if someone who's a little bigger decided to try it on. Oh, honey, you didn't notice that this dress was defective.
What? No, that can't be.
He took the dress between his hands and saw what I saw.
That's impossible.
Oh, well, I dug out another outfit with little concern as I pegged that my husband was absent-minded. I should have believed in him. We had fun that night. We haven't gone out like this in a while because of his mom's divorce. However, when we got home, his mother was surprisingly sitting on the couch facing the front door. She looked rather upset.
Mom, you okay?
Of course I'm okay. Why wouldn't I be? She snapped.
Oh, what's wrong?
She hung her head low before condescendingly shaking her head. You know, I have been having a difficult time since your father left me, and I know it's been a few months, but I'm still not okay. I would have enjoyed going out with you two or just you for dinner. I mean, you got a promotion. I would have loved seeing you accepted.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mom. I don't know what to say. Lucy and I barely go on dates as it is.
Yeah, it's my fault you guys don't go on dates. Well, kind of, yes.
Lucy.
Well, if we are open and honest about it, we deserve a night out solo, and I'm not going to apologize for that, and neither should you, Chris. Wow, just say you wish I wanted to move out, why don't you? You have no idea what I'm going through. Before either of us could say anything, she stood up and entered her room.
I don't know why you had to say all of that. You know she's going through a hard time as it is.
Well, I don't understand why she was trying to make us feel bad for going on date night. If she's allowed to share her feelings, so are we. Chris didn't say anything, only rubbing his eyes out of frustration. His mom now avoided me at all cost. This is where things get weird again. The next day, I put on my work clothes, which consisted of dress pants and whatever nice blouse I had washed. I work as a receptionist at a law firm. I have worn this blouse hundreds of times, and it's always been perfect around my chest and waist area, but today it was stretched, and what was worse, in the armpit part, it felt moist. I never sweat this easily. I took off the shirt and inspected it. The blouse was stretched beyond belief. Worst of all, there were wet spots at the pit. I checked my arms, and as expected, I wasn't sweating. I pulled another blouse and it had the same issues. I was running late to work, so I didn't have time to figure out the problem. I dug all the way to the back of the closet and found a salvageable shirt. I was deeply alarmed though. Why were my clothes like this? There was no logical explanation. Unless someone decided to wear my clothes and stretch them out on purpose? When I went to work, I began to think about what could be the explanation. I had a crazy thought. Maybe it was absurd. It had to be. The only other person in the house that was close to my size was my mother-in-law. She was a bit bigger than me. Why would she do that? That's crazy, strange, weird even. I decided to keep these thoughts to myself. I know I shouldn't have, but I wanted to give my mother-in-law the benefit of the doubt. That night, I stayed up late to see if my mother-in-law would enter my room. Unfortunately, I couldn't stay up long enough as sleep had overtaken me. When I woke up and started my daily routine, I noticed my toothbrush was wet. This paranoia was eating me alive. Could this be my mother-in-law? From stretching clothes, leaving pit stains, and sabotaging my toothbrush? I mean, why the hell is it wet? Again, as I was getting ready for work, I was putting on my undergarments. This is where I drew the line. My underwear was stretched as I pulled them up. No. This woman did not just put on my clean underwear. I took them off immediately and took a whiff. Chris! He rushed upstairs, spilling his coffee all over his front shirt. Baby, what's wrong? Your mother. What? I know this is going to sound crazy, and maybe it is, but I don't care. Your mother has been wearing my clothes, including my underwear, and using my toothbrush. This woman has a vendetta against me. Why would you say that about my mom? She would never do something like that. Come on, don't pretend you don't notice how she's around me. My mother loves you. Where is she? I need to talk to her. Lucy, I swear to God, if you bother my mother with your delusions while she is still in a state of despair, you and I will have to be questioning how long this marriage will last. My mother is my rock. I hate seeing her in pain and what my dad did to her. Please, unless you have definite proof, I don't want to hear it. I do. The clothes are stretched. They smell. That could be the washer. Maybe we need a new one. I left it at that, knowing anything I said, he would counter. How had I not realized he was a mama's boy? Explains why she decided to move in with him rather than his other siblings. If he wanted proof, then I would give it to him. That night, I went to the nearest store to find some sleuthing equipment. 2 hidden cameras. Check. Speaker. Check. That's all I needed. I came back home with 2 fake fast cameras. Daphne, I got you a plant. It would freshen and lighten up your room. Why? Mom, Lucy's trying to be nice. Okay, thank you, she said, turning back to the TV. I could tell in Chris's eyes that he was noticing her behavior shift. I guess I'll put this in your room for you? I put one camera on my bedside table facing my closet, and then I went to my mother's room and did the same. I was tempted to check her closet if she was secretly holding anything for me. But my husband called me from downstairs for dinner, and so I abandoned that idea for another time. I surprisingly slept soundly that night as I knew I was getting answers very soon. I didn't even bother looking at the front of the closet and dug at the back for clothes. Before heading off to work, I checked the footage on my phone. Unfortunately, she didn't visit our room. As I was driving to work, I was doubting myself if maybe I was running delusions in my head. I could barely keep up with my work. My mind was buzzing with anticipation. This all changed when I checked the camera footage once again during my lunch. Lo and behold, my mother-in-law entered my bathroom. I put on some earbuds to hear the audio. I could hear an electric type of sound, something similar to an electric toothbrush. I wanted to hurl. I wonder how often she did this until I caught her. She exited the bathroom and went toward my closet as expected. Daphne dug further and further into the back of my closet. Randomly, she began to hum to herself with a sing-song tune. I watched in surprise and horror as she stripped from head to toe with only her undergarments on and stretched out my blouse and skirt. The ribs could be heard and she grunted and groaned out of frustration. Of course, he would love you. He likes what he sees. She laughed bitterly to herself, but that laughter soon turned to sadness, and I began to hear her cry. She sat on my bed. Mom would be so proud, huh, Daphne? That you couldn't keep your husband because of his lustful gaze. She acts innocent, friendly, and sweet, buying me a vase as if that will change anything. What in the world? Does she think I had an affair with her husband? No, that can't be. What proof did she even have? Oh well. She sighed, looking in the mirror and inspecting herself. Instead of giving me clarity, this only gave me more questions. I went to my boss and told her that I wasn't feeling so good and that I would like to go home early. She agreed begrudgingly but wished me well. I flirted home, hoping to catch her in the act and solve this mystery once and for all. I parked down the street so she wouldn't hear me entering the garage. Slowly and steadily, I entered the house, checking my live camera to see where she was. Daphne was still on my bed, staring into the mirror in front of her. I took a second to breathe before entering my bedroom. Her eyes snapped to me in shock. What are you doing here so early? Instead of answering her, I asked, what in the world are you doing? This is so humiliating. She cried, covering her eyes with her palms, and the tears were back at it again. Daphne, why are you doing this? You really want to know? I stayed silent. My husband, ex-husband Paul, when we were together intimately, this is so embarrassing. I shouldn't have to explain this to you. It's none of your business. She snapped. I am making it my business? You are going through my belongings, stretching my clothes, and making me look like a lunatic. I deserve answers. Fine. When Paul and I were intimate, he said your name. Oh, Lucy, and my heart shattered. I questioned it afterwards, and he acted like it didn't happen. I began to notice how he would look at you over dinner and how his eyes lit up. You're young, beautiful, unattractive woman. What wouldn't he like? Then he filed for a divorce, and I ended up here with the woman I despised the most. But I didn't do anything. Please, you like the attention. She scoffed. Oh, hell no. She's not going to be acting like this anymore. I'm sorry that I was indirectly at fault for your relationship, but this attitude and dressing my clothes using my toothbrush, it's done. You are going to stop. I'm going to give you a week to move out of the house. What? Why? Why in the hell would I let you stay here? I do not trust you. Chris would never let you, even if you tell him what you saw. I'm sure he wouldn't, but if he and the rest of the family take a look at the footage, you might want to rethink that. Her eyes shot open in sheer horror when I flashed my phone at her to show the live camera. She tried to reach for it, but I said, "The video is already uploaded to my email, so don't bother." I was lying, but that indeed got her scared. But listen, Daphne, I hate what you did, but I'm still sorry it happened. I think you need to seek mental help. She just scoffed, stripping my clothes off her body. I was going to throw them away anyway. My mother-in-law moved out a week after with little to no explanation to Chris. She stayed at her daughter's home. I felt terrible about the situation and decided it was in my best interest to tell my husband what had happened. He was stunned when he saw the footage. He and Betty decided to have an intervention with Daphne. She hasn't missed a day of therapy in a year. As for my father-in-law, we haven't spoken to him in 3 years. It was the time of the year again when I had to send off my husband to the airport. He works abroad as a professor at an international top university, and every 3 months in 1 year, he goes back home for a vacation and then he will return to the university. It is really tough for me, especially that I have to raise 3 of our children alone. Well, technically, I'm not alone because I have my mother in law with me, but that's another kind of tough for me. You heard it right. While my husband is working overseas, my mother in law and father in law live with us. They help me in taking care of the children as well as with other household chores. They have been a very good companion to me, but there were just times when my mother in law overpowered me and took control of the house, especially in terms of managing the finances and even in disciplining the children. On top of that, she kept on questioning my decisions and even the actions that I take inside the house. She told me that I am not a good mother and that I have bad parenting skills. Aside from that, she always says hurtful words towards me, and sometimes she can even be more violent. It has always been known to me that she harbored a deep rooted animosity towards me from the start. Her disdain seemed to seep into every interaction, poisoning the family dynamic. The voiceover called the attention of the passengers, so my husband stood up.
Well, that's my flight.
My husband said in a very bittersweet tone. He looked at me and tears started to form. Oh, here we go again with the goodbye and I'll be back soon. Our children quickly hugged their dad and gave him lots of kisses.
Be good to mommy while dad is away, okay? I promise I'll buy lots of toys this time.
He said as he ruffled each of the kids' hair. He went to me and hugged me, even gave me a prolonged forehead kiss. Take care, alright? Call me as soon as you land.
You too. If you need anything, Mom and Pops will help you.
I nodded as a response. I never told him about his mother's treatment towards me because I don't want him to worry. And I could still contain her behavior towards me, and it is still bearable, so I can hold it off. The voiceover echoed through the airport lobby once again. Our kids started to sob and I hugged them all, trying to calm them down. Shh, Daddy's gonna be home soon, I promise. My husband gave them one hug and waved us goodbye as he walked towards the check-in area. Sadness and longing lingered in me once again, but I have to be strong for my family. We immediately went home, and as I was driving the car, I couldn't help but think how my life took an annoying and unexpected turn when my husband decided to work abroad and let his parents live with me because it was when tensions started to run high. As soon as we got inside the house, I heard a banging sound from the inside. I sighed and closed my eyes, taking in all the strength. This kind of commotion is not new to me anymore. A loud grunt was heard across the residence, so I hurried inside with my kids. I am so used to all this, but every time I hear my father in law scream in pain, it still hurts me. I immediately went to my in law's room, and as soon as I opened it, I saw my father in law, Greg, sitting on the couch with him holding his hands.
You don't have to hurt me like that, Regine.
He shouted at my mother in law, but his voice was so weak it didn't even stun his wife. I told you to do your own laundry because I'm not your maid, you idiot.
Then you could have told me nicely.
I looked around and all my father-in-law's clothes were scattered on the floor. My mother-in-law was still holding his arm. Maybe she held it so tight because I could clearly see her grip on his arm. Nicely? What are you, 3 years old? Why would I ask nicely? It's called respect. I interrupted them. I walked directly to my father-in-law and checked his arm. He grunted in pain as I tried to touch it. Oh, so you are here, lady in shining armor. You are just as useless and stupid as my husband. I clenched my fist to control my anger. I controlled myself not to do anything that I would eventually regret. Regine's cruel treatment wasn't limited to just me. She directed her insults and disrespect towards my father-in-law as well, and every time I witnessed the pain she inflicted on him, it broke my heart. Whenever my father-in-law failed to do something, it seemed so easy for her to lay a hand on this poor old man. I helped my father-in-law to get up, and he shook his head as he looked at me. The dismay and disappointment on his face was so evident. You two are a pain in the ass. If not only my son asked me to man his house, I wouldn't be here. I would be at a beach club living the best of my days. I have a husband who is as stupid as fuck and a daughter-in-law that is so dumb. Wow, what a life. She banged the table near her and walked out of the room. I tried to help my father-in-law with his injury and asked him about what happened. What happened? He heaved a sigh before answering.
I was cleaning the car and she went angry after she saw me doing it. She told me that there are better things to do, like doing the laundry. She dragged me inside and scattered all my laundry to the floor.
My eyes frowned. The woman has a serious problem. Why would she get mad over something so random?
I heard she asked Joe to look for a driver.
But you always wanted to drive us around.
I know, but your mother-in-law doesn't want me to do that anymore. I guess I'm useless now.
No, you are not. The door opened and the kids ran to their grandfather. They checked up on him and promised me that they will take care of him. Amidst this cruelty, I am so glad to have such sweet and caring kids. I really want to tell my husband about everything, but I'm so afraid that it would affect him. And my father-in-law kept on insisting that I must not tell his son about this because he is worried that Joe would be distracted, especially that he is living away from us and all alone. That's why I try to keep headstrong despite everything. I went along with my mother-in-law's treatments. As long as she doesn't hurt the children, and fortunately, she loves them so much. The next day, my mother-in-law opened the door for a visitor. The man looks younger than me, probably in his mid-20s. He looks handsome, with a good build. She walked towards us and introduced him with a smile on her face. Greg, Helen, and kids, meet Carlos, our new car driver. I just looked at them plainly. She never consulted me about this, and given that my father in law only heard this from my husband, made it clear that she doesn't intend on telling us about it.
So you're the driver my wife has been raving about?
The driver smiled. Pleasure to meet you, sir and ma'am. He looked directly towards me. I wasn't informed on having a car driver. Pops is still good at it. Wouldn't that be another financial liability? My mother-in-law started to manifest anger again as she noticed my skepticism, but she tried to brush it off. Oh, don't be so hard on Carlos. He is a hard-working and trustworthy man. She tapped her hand on Carlos's arm and even massaged it lightly. My eyes widened. Why is she being so touchy with this man?
I hope you're right, Regine. I guess it's a break for me.
He turned to the kids.
Will it be okay if Poopops won't drive you to school?
The kids nodded, telling him that he needs to rest as well. Regine's flirtatious behavior with Carlos does not go unnoticed by me, and it completely added to my unending concerns. During dinner, I could feel that my father-in-law was skeptical about the new driver.
Are you sure we can trust this guy, Regine? I can't help but feel uneasy about him.
I saw her roll her eyes at him. Can you stop being paranoid? I am doing you a favor here. You will get to rest because your loving daughter-in-law here treats you nothing like a driver. My eyes widened. That is not true. Oh, do shut up, dear. That commotion was another concern. I tried not to argue with her and spark a fight. I am so tired with all of that. And there's nothing we can do but to accept that we now have a driver. I tried to look at the brighter side. My father-in-law would get to rest and the driver can fill in his role. I just hope he is trustworthy enough. One afternoon, I was preparing snacks for the kids when they finally got home from school. My father-in-law was trimming the backyard's grasses. The driver went inside with them, so I offered him a snack as well. My mother-in-law followed them inside. She went with them as well because she decided to go for a jewelry shopping spree. I just couldn't bear looking at her wasting all the money, but it's hers anyway. It's none of my business. My mother-in-law was carrying 2 paper bags, so the driver immediately helped her and walked with her towards her room. It was so weird. Why is she allowing the driver to go inside their room? My father-in-law noticed it and went inside to grab some juice. He didn't say a thing and went to their room. I paid it no mind and started to prepare for dinner. I saw my mother-in-law leave the room humming to her heart's content while checking her jewelry in the backyard. After a while, the driver went out to the porch with my father-in-law following him, but little did I know that later that night the most harrowing incident was bound to happen. I was cleaning the kitchen when my mother-in-law stormed at me. She slapped me immediately and grabbed my hair. I screamed out of pain, but she pushed me down to the floor and kicked my leg, so I stumbled my face flat to the ground. I can't believe you stole my jewelry, Helen. How dare you betray my trust? What is she talking about? She held my hair tightly to raise my face from the ground. I didn't take anything, please believe me. Her anger intensified as she picked me up and backed me into a corner. She grabbed my arm violently. You think you can fool me? I won't let you get away with this. She accused me of stealing her precious jewelry. Consumed by her rage, she stooped to an unimaginable low, demanding that I strip naked so she could search for evidence. She grabbed my shirt and ripped it apart. She even scratched my neck. Where is my jewelry, you filthy ass bitch? I told you I don't have it. Please stop. It was a degrading experience that left me feeling violated and helpless. I tried to break free from her grip, but I was so overwhelmed by her aggression. She tried to rip my shorts apart, but suddenly the door swung open, revealing my father in law. In a twist of fate, Greg walked in on this horrifying scene. His eyes widened with shock and anger as he took in the sight before him. Without hesitation, he stepped up to defend me against his own wife's baseless accusations and threats. In that moment, I saw a glimmer of hope that someone in this family would stand up for me.
Regine, what's going on here?
She released me, as she was momentarily taken aback by my father in law's unexpected presence.
Oh, shut the hell up, Greg. This woman stole my jewelry. I caught her red handed. If you want to help her, just don't do it. You won't succeed anyway.
Regine, enough with these mistreatments. I can't believe you would treat Helen this way without any evidence. Have you lost your mind?
I certainly think that she lost her mind a long time ago.
Regine smacked me out from telling the truth. I want all her nonsense to end.
Regine, this ends now. No more false accusations and abuse.
She just laughed at him as if nothing fears her. My father-in-law stepped between me and her, shielding me from further harm. Regine fumes in anger.
If you defend her, Greg, I'll make sure everyone thinks she's seducing you. I'm your wife. You listen to me.
Ah, yes, the wife that always reminds me of being stupid and dumb. Regine, your threats won't work anymore. Your behavior has crossed the line. It's time to face the consequences.
Regine's face twisted with anger and frustration as she realized her power over me and Greg was slipping away. The aftermath of that pivotal moment was filled with tension and uncertainty. The family dynamic shifted, strained by the revelation of Regine's true color. Yet, amidst the chaos, the truth began to surface.
I saw Carlos walking out of your room, our own room. Are you having an affair with him, woman?
My eyes widened in shock. No, this isn't true. Regine looked away and still continued to act superior.
What a baseless accusation.
Same as to me. You accused me over something I didn't do, but mine happens to be true. I let go of her grip and sided with my father-in-law. My father-in-law Greg had long been aware of Regine's abusive behavior and couldn't bear to witness it any longer.
Do you want to hear the real truth?
He threw a bag of jewelry to the ground.
There's your jewelry. I made sure that I got that from the guy you are sleeping with.
Her eyes widened in complete, utterable shock. She clutched it and still her expression was unexplainable. My father-in-law discovered the real culprit behind the stolen jewelry. Carlos, the secret lover, the family driver.
No, no way.
Her voice trembled.
I also made it sure that I put him into custody. And don't worry, the authorities are on their way here for the evidence and, of course, for another case.
My father-in-law looked directly to her soul.
You.
She panicked and got up on his feet and held her husband's hands.
Greg, what do you mean?
You're going down with him. You are not my wife anymore. You're a violent monster. You lied to me and you betrayed me.
You have hurt us in ways I couldn't imagine. You even sacrificed our relationship with an awful man who is double your age. The bruises in our bodies are evidence of your abuses. A siren hovered our entire street, and as the sound grew prominent, she started to panic. She knelt down and asked for forgiveness.
Greg, Helen, please forgive me. I don't want to be in jail. Spare me, please. I will do anything.
My brows raised from her last line. You will do anything? Okay, get some help. The police barged in and handcuffed her, and the next thing we knew, she was detained. I informed my husband about everything. He went home immediately to help us face the aftermath of the problem. This revelation strengthened our case against Regine and exposed her web of lies. Bolstered by this newfound evidence, Greg made the difficult decision to file for divorce, seeking justice and protection for both me and himself. The legal proceedings are arduous, and the community's reactions varied, yet, amidst the adversity, our family rallied together. Greg, my father in law, became a pillar of support, as did other family members who stood by us during this trying time. Their unwavering love and encouragement gave me the strength to speak out against the abuse, inspiring others to break free from their own chains. Finally, the day of reckoning arrived. Regine was convicted for her abusive actions, facing the consequences of her behavior. It was a bittersweet victory, a turning point that offered closure and a chance for healing. In the aftermath of Regine's conviction, our lives slowly transformed. The wounds began to heal, and we rebuilt our shattered relationships based on trust, love, and resilience. The journey to recovery wasn't easy, but we emerged stronger and more determined than ever before. Through this ordeal, I discovered my own strength and voice. I refused to be silenced by the shadows of abuse, using my experience to shed light on the issue and empower others to break free from their own chains. My hope was to create a ripple effect of courage and change, fostering a community that refused to tolerate abuse in any form. Though scarred by the past, our family found solace in knowing that we had overcome the darkness that once consumed us. Together, we forged a path towards a brighter future, forever transformed by the unwavering courage that brought us through the storm.
Very well then. If you're that confident in Grace's cooking, why not have a cook-off? We will see who is better. What do you think, Grace? Let's make this Thanksgiving interesting. Oh, please. This would actually be helpful for Grace. Maybe she can learn a thing or two from my cooking. Daniel, I know that's why you haven't given her any kids. I mean, what kind of mother can't even feed her husband and kids a decent meal?
My name is Grace, 33 years old. I am a food enthusiast with an insatiable passion for all things culinary. Food has always been more than just a basic necessity for me. It's an outlet for creativity and a way to express my love and care. From experimenting with flavors to perfecting new recipes, I find joy in the art of cooking. But here's a little secret. My husband Daniel doesn't have a clue about my true culinary talents. He did not know that I was a well-known chef with years of experience working in renowned kitchens, a string of culinary achievements under my belt, and my very own restaurant. Don't get me wrong, he's no stranger to my delicious home-cooked meals. In fact, he often raves about the dishes, thinking they're just a result of my amateur cooking adventures. You see, Daniel has always been a foodie himself, and that's one of the things that brought us together. We would spend hours exploring new restaurants, savoring unique flavors, and sharing our love for all things delicious. It was during those culinary adventures that I fell head over heels for him. So you may wonder, why keep your culinary skills under wraps? Well, call it a mix of modesty and wanting to maintain a sense of simplicity in our relationship. I wanted us to enjoy meals together without any pressure or expectations. Plus, I don't want to become a subject of comparison with his mother. I have seen how mothers can be overly proud and protective of their skills when it comes to cooking. I didn't want to disrupt the delicate balance that exists between my mother-in-law and me. I wanted to avoid any unnecessary tension or the constant comparison of our cooking abilities. That's why I made Daniel believe that my cooking was simply a labor of love rather than the result of years of professional training. Deep down, I dreamed of the day when I could surprise him with a truly remarkable dish and say, "Guess who cooked that?" Little did I know that fate had a funny way of bringing that moment closer than I expected. It was a Thanksgiving Day, a time when families gather to celebrate and indulge in a bountiful feast. The kitchen buzzed with simmering pots and mouth-watering aromas emitting in the air. As I bring inside the ingredients for a flavorful dish I plan to cook, my mother-in-law Evelyn appeared with her presence commanding attention. "Grace, dear, what's all this? I think it's better to bring this back inside the car and cook it for yourself at another time." Evelyn, I appreciate your concern, but what I am about to cook is a dish close to my heart, and I wanted to share it with everyone on this special day. I believe I can make it really flavorful and satisfying for everyone's taste buds. Thanks for trying, dear, but on Thanksgiving, the stakes are higher. It's a time for a grand feast, and it would be disrespectful to the spirits of Thanksgiving if we settle for mediocrity. Wouldn't you agree? And besides, let's be honest, cooking has never been your forte. Or else I would have been hearing it from Daniel nonstop. He is such a foodie, it's a miracle he survives with your culinary skills. Daniel suddenly came to the kitchen, interrupting his mother's nonstop attacks on me.
Mom, come on now. I can assure you that Grace is an amazing cook. She's been preparing delicious meals for me all the time, and I've loved every bite. Why not give her a chance to shine this Thanksgiving?
Oh, that's something new, Daniel. I remember when you were little, you wouldn't touch anything that wasn't cooked by me. It is interesting how things have changed. Is she forcing you to say that? Blink twice if you need help.
She joked. She seemed offended by Daniel's defense of my cooking skills, and I felt pressurized. Who can ever top a nostalgic meal?
Very well then, if you're that confident in Grace's cooking, why not have a cook-off? We'll see who is better. What do you think, Grace? Let's make this Thanksgiving interesting.
Oh, that's not what I meant at all, Mom. You are both great.
Yeah, I don't want to make things... Oh, please. This would actually be helpful for Grace. Maybe she can learn a thing or two from my cooking. Daniel, I know that's why you haven't given her any kids. I mean, what kind of mother can't even feed her husband and kids a decent meal?
A hushed silence filled the air. I hesitated at first, but I knew that accepting the challenge was a necessary step for my own growth and to put an end to Evelyn's constant scrutiny, so I accepted it. "All right, Evelyn, I accept your challenge. I think it will be fun." She challenged the wrong person. Bring it on, Evelyn. This should be fun. So the ingredients are laid out and the culinary showdown began. Evelyn and I stood at opposite ends of the counter. The dish we would be preparing was adobo, a classic Filipino favorite known for its savory flavors and tender meat, and I was determined to make it shine. Evelyn, on the other hand, seemed confident as ever. She moved with precision, effortlessly chopping the garlic and onions, her movements as if they were second nature. I couldn't deny her skill and experience, but I knew I had something to offer too. I marinated the pork in a blend of soy sauce, garlic, few spices, alongside my secret ingredient. But as I scanned the counter for the bottle of vinegar, a crucial ingredient for the recipe, it was nowhere to be found. Panic surged through me as I realized Evelyn had hidden it, hoping to throw me off balance. I couldn't waste time arguing with her because I know she will just deny it. So I refused to let it deter me. I took a deep breath and cast a glance around the kitchen.
My eyes fell upon a jar of tamarind paste tucked away in the pantry. A light bulb flickered in my mind. Tamarind possessed a natural tanginess that could potentially emulate the sourness of vinegar. It was an unexpected substitute, but I had to trust my culinary instincts. After all, chefs are masters of improvisation. I grabbed the jar and measured out a precise amount of the paste. Carefully, I added it to the simmering adobo, stirring it into the rich sauce. Would my improvisation yield a successful result, or would it be a disastrous deviation from tradition? The time had come for Daniel, the ultimate judge, to make his decision. Evelyn and I stood side by side, our dishes lined up before us, each bearing the distinct aroma of the dish. To add an element of surprise, we decided to blindfold Daniel. It was an opportunity for him to judge solely based on taste without any bias. He ate mine first. I watched anxiously as he took to his first bite, savoring the flavors and contemplating his opinion.
This is fantastic. Is that tamarind I taste? It is a refreshing twist that is bold and innovative. That approach truly set this dish apart.
His words filled me with pride, knowing my creative improvisation had resonated with him. I am grateful for his recognition and the validation it brought to my culinary skills. Evelyn couldn't resist but take a small taste from my plate. Her pride refused her to allow any verbal affirmation, but there was a subtle nod of approval. Next up was Evelyn's dish. While Daniel was taking a bite, Evelyn whispered to me, "You're not the only one with a secret ingredient up their sleeve."
This is also good. The flavor is decent.
Evelyn smirked, thinking Daniel's comment on her dish was better. What could she have added? She probably saw me improvising during the cook-off and felt pressure to add a twist to her dish. She whispered something to me again. "Now, here's a tip for your meals, dear. Peanut butter." My heart skipped a beat as Evelyn's words reached my ears. As I turned to look at Evelyn, her eyes widened in curiosity. "Daniel, stop eating now." "Oh, that's such a sore loser of you, dear. Let him eat. It's peanut butter." Daniel's face already changed and he tried spitting what was left in his mouth. Discomfort clouded him as he coughed uncontrollably, with his allergic reaction becoming apparent. Rushing to Daniel's side and taking his blindfold off, I quickly retrieved an EpiPen from my purse, having had prior knowledge of Daniel's allergy. The allergy must have developed later on in Daniel's life that Evelyn wasn't aware of it. It's also unfortunate that we cooked in Evelyn's house where there were ingredients lying around that Daniel's allergic to. Finally, Daniel's breathing began to ease and color returned to his face. A collective sigh of relief echoed throughout the kitchen as we averted a potentially dangerous situation. "All right, Daniel, you can tell us now who won before you forget." I was taken aback by Evelyn's insistence. Considering the circumstances, I felt inappropriate to continue the cook-off while Daniel was recovering. With genuine concern, I interjected, "Evelyn, let's not rush things. We can postpone or even cancel the judging if Daniel isn't feeling well. The cook-off is not that serious. Daniel's health is our priority." Daniel, still recovering from the scare, managed to give a reassuring smile.
No, I'm all right now. Let's continue. I like this dish better because it was the tamarind addition was a stroke of genius. It's only fair to acknowledge its creativity and skill. Who cooked this?
Daniel pointed at my dish, and that made me so happy. As Daniel declared me the winner of the cook-off, I saw how Evelyn's face fell, with hurt evident in her eyes. "Thank you for the friendly competition, Evelyn. I believe everyone enjoyed the food." "Enjoyed your food? Please, Daniel was just being polite. He will come running back to me once he misses a real meal. Soon enough, your 5 minutes of fame is over." I couldn't help but just laugh at what she said. Her offensive comments only fueled my determination. After emerging victorious in the cook-off and receiving recognition for my culinary prowess, my life took an exhilarating turn. The aftermath of the competition we had has brought about unexpected changes in my life. Inspired by the success of my improvised adobo, I decided to incorporate the dish into the menu of my restaurant. I didn't know why I didn't think of adding it before, but thanks to that little cook off, it was brought to my attention how the world needs to taste more of it. Word spread quickly about the twist I had added to the traditional Filipino dish, and soon enough it became the talk of the town. Customers flocked to my restaurant eager to experience the flavorful dish. Positive reviews pour in, praising my culinary skills once more. The newfound popularity brought not only more customers but also financial success, allowing me to expand it. As my reputation as a skilled chef grew, so did my confidence. I decided to leverage my success and knowledge in creating a workshop aimed at nurturing aspiring chefs where I would be sharing my expertise, divulging invaluable culinary secrets, and encouraging participants to embrace their unique culinary journeys. I aim to foster a supportive community in which its foundation is built on the principles of empowerment, collaboration, and lifting others up. It was a stark contrast to the demeaning treatment I had endured from my own mother in law. As the workshop kicked off, I was excited to meet the aspiring chefs and learn with them. However, my excitement turned to utter astonishment when I spotted a familiar among the participants. It was Evelyn, my mother in law. The sight of her caught me off guard, and a whirlwind of thoughts raced through my mind. I couldn't help but wonder why Evelyn had chose to attend my workshop. I don't think she knew I was teaching this class because she seemed very uncomfortable and out of place. Her usual air of confidence was nowhere to be found. It's very laughable how the very person who she belittled and undermined is who she is now seeking guidance from. Perhaps the sadness she had experienced from losing to my dish and the fact that Daniel had sided with me instead of her must have hurt her in ways I could never fully imagine. Throughout the workshop, I kept a watchful eye on Evelyn, observing her interactions with the other participants. She was trying her best to blend in and keep a low profile. It was evidence that being in my presence and my mentee was a humbling experience for her. She was obviously humiliated as she remained a reluctant participant. She avoided eye contact with me and offered a muted response every time I interacted with her. Just like when the participants were practicing their knife skills, I noticed Evelyn struggling with a particularly tough vegetable. Her hands trembled and her cuts were uneven. I assume she's unfamiliar with it and hasn't had the chance to try it in her dishes before. I couldn't help but chuckle at the irony. The woman who had prided herself on her culinary skills now found herself stumbling over basic techniques. It seemed like bad karma had seeped into her cooking, leaving her creations lackluster and tasteless. Hey, Evelyn, let me show you a little trick. See, if you hold the vegetables this way and angle your knife like this, you will get a cleaner and more even cut. There was a mix of shame and gratitude in her eyes, as if she had come face to face with her own shortcomings and the impact they had on others. She still avoided eye contact and murmured a barely audible response, her pride obviously shattered and her facade crumbling. The workshop came to an end and I approached Evelyn. I hoped you learned a lot. Double meaning, of course. I left Evelyn to reflect on her actions with a mischievous grin across my lips. Walking away from that encounter, I felt a sense of closure and satisfaction. I had turned Evelyn's negativity into a catalyst for positive change, both for myself and others. And as for Evelyn, well, karma had come knocking on her kitchen door. Only time would tell if she would learn from her own mistakes.
Maybe next time she'll know that the best recipe for personal growth is seasoning dishes with a dash of humility and a sprinkle of kindness.
John, we need to talk. I can't stand this anymore. Your behavior has become unbearable.
Oh, here we go again. What's your problem now?
My problem is that you have completely neglected me and our home. I am exhausted from doing everything alone.
Give me a break, Mary. You're always so demanding and needy. I work hard all day, and you expect me to do everything at home?
It's not about expecting you to do everything, John. It's about sharing responsibilities and showing some care and support. But all you do is sit in front of the TV.
Don't be so dramatic. You act like it's the end of the world if the dishes aren't washed or the laundry isn't done.
I thought we were a team, but you have become distant and disrespectful.
Oh, please, don't play the victim. You're blowing this out of proportion.
No, I'm standing up for myself and our relationship. I can't live like this anymore.
Fine. If that's how you feel, go ahead and leave. Do you really have the courage to? I don't think so.
My name is Mary, and I live with my husband John. We both worked at the same company, but in different departments. I worked as an attorney, while John is a senior employee in the sales department. We met at work and quickly formed a deep connection. John had an extraordinary character that drew me in, and I knew I wanted to spend the rest of my life with him. We got married, and for a while, everything seemed perfect. However, things began to change after I found out I was pregnant. I was overjoyed at the prospect of starting a family, and I had assumed John would be just as excited. But to my disappointment, he seemed distant and detached. The once vibrant and passionate man I fell in love with became a mere shadow of himself. He slowly but surely lost interest in me and in the values we had once shared. It almost felt like he didn't even want to be a dad. As my pregnancy progressed, I realized that John had begun neglecting his responsibilities. He started avoiding household chores and left me to do everything alone. The weight of the growing baby inside of me made even the simplest task challenging, and I needed his support more than ever. But instead of being there for me, John became consumed by his obsession with watching TV. Each day, I found myself struggling with the chores, feeling exhausted and emotionally drained. I would share my needs and complaints with John, hoping that he would understand and make an effort to help me. But my words fell on deaf ears, as he seemed more interested in the fictional dramas on the screen than the real struggles I faced. I decided to have a talk with him. John, we need to talk. I can't stand this anymore. Your behavior has become unbearable.
Oh, here we go again. What's your problem now?
My problem is that you have completely neglected me and our home. I'm exhausted from doing everything alone.
Give me a break, Mary. You're always so demanding and needy. I work hard all day, and you expect me to do everything at home?
It's not about expecting you to do everything, John. It's about sharing responsibilities and showing some care and support, but all you do is sit in front of the TV.
Don't be so dramatic. You act like it's the end of the world if the dishes aren't washed or the laundry isn't done.
I thought we were a team, but you have become distant and disrespectful.
Oh, please. Don't play the victim card. You're blowing this out of proportion.
No, I'm standing up for myself and our relationship. I can't live like this anymore.
Fine. If that's how you feel, go ahead and leave. Do you really have the courage to? I don't think so.
After that cold conversation, John simply left. I had hoped that the joy of becoming parents would bring us closer together, but instead it seemed to have pushed us apart. The resentment and disappointment grew within me, creating an emotional chasm that seemed impossible to bridge. The divide between us grew wider with each passing day. I felt invisible, as if my needs and happiness no longer mattered to John. Our bond began to fracture under the weight of his indifference. One day during my pregnancy, I was struck by a wave of sickness so overwhelming that I found myself unable to do anything. Nausea gripped me, making even the simplest task seem impossible. I knew I needed help, so I reached out to John, hoping he would come to my aid. He had gone out to spend time with his friends because he didn't want to catch whatever disease that I was having, even though I was desperately needing his help. To my dismay, he didn't pick up the phone. I tried and tried, but I was still all alone. Feeling weak and desperate, I collapsed on our living room sofa. In that vulnerable state, I couldn't help but fear for myself and the life growing inside me. It seemed as if I were drowning in a sea of hopelessness. Fortunately, in my darkest moment, my parents came to my rescue. They had an additional key to our home and had sensed that something was wrong when they couldn't reach me. Bursting through the door, they found me unconscious and immediately sprang into action. Their presence brought a glimmer of hope back into the room as they tended to me with love and care. When I regained consciousness, I found myself in the comforting embrace of my parents. They assured me that everything would be all right and vowed to support me through this challenging time. Their devotion reminded me of the strength and resilience that ran through our family. With newfound determination, I confronted John about his neglect and indifference. I told him that I could no longer endure the pain of his emotional absence and the burden of shouldering everything alone. But instead of listening to my heartfelt plea, he responded with mockery and scorn. "John, we need to talk. I can't keep going like this. If you want to be a dad, you need to step up and be there for me and our baby. Otherwise, I can't see a future for us."
Oh, really? Is this what this is about? Your constant need for attention? You're always making everything about you and your feelings.
This isn't about attention, John. It's about the well-being of our child and the strain on our relationship. I can't do this alone anymore.
Well, maybe you should have thought about that before getting pregnant. The baby doesn't matter to me. It's just a burden and inconvenience.
How can you say that? This is our child, John. Don't you understand the responsibility we have?
Responsibility? You're the one who wanted this baby. I never signed up for this. You're the needy one, always demanding more from me.
I can't believe you're being so heartless. Our child deserves better than this. I deserve better than this. If you can't change and be there for us, then maybe it's time I leave.
Fine, go ahead and leave. See if I care. I'm better off without you and your constant nagging.
That's it. Then I'm done. I won't subject our child to this toxic environment. I'm leaving, John.
Oh, please, you'll come crawling back when you realize you can't do it alone.
We'll see about that. Goodbye, John. I hope you find some empathy someday. His words cut deep, reopening the wounds of my loneliness and frustration. At that moment, the realization hit me like a punch to the gut. The man I once admired, the man I had married and vowed to spend my life with, had become a stranger to me. His inability to empathize or understand my pain shattered the last remnants of the love I had held onto. And just like that, I walked out of his life. With the unwavering support of my parents, I found peace in their presence and the calm environment they provided during my pregnancy. I gave birth to a healthy and adorable boy, and I named him Elijah. Sadly, John didn't even say a word to me during all those months. It was as if Elijah meant nothing to him. But I wouldn't let that affect the life that Elijah deserved. Determined to provide for my child, I mastered the strength to return to work after a much-needed leave of absence. As I focused on rebuilding my life, John seemed surprised by my resilience. In a desperate attempt to regain control, he resorted to manipulation and intimidation. First of all, he refused to sign the divorce papers. Then, he finally called me up after months, but instead of expressing care, he tried to undermine my confidence. He constantly said that our son would resent me for breaking off our family. He placed the blame on my shoulders, saying that it was because of me that our child didn't have a father figure in his life. But I refused to let his words break me. I knew deep down that I was making the right decision for both myself and my son. I stood my ground, unwavering in my resolve to provide a loving and stable environment for my child. In the face of my unwavering determination, John realized that his power over me was slipping away. Faced with the potential exposure of his actions, he reluctantly acquiesced and signed the divorce papers. At that moment, I knew I had made the right choice. My son deserved a better life, one that was built on a foundation of unwavering love and support. And I was determined to provide just that, no matter the obstacles that lay ahead. John didn't stop there. It seemed like he had to get his revenge, even though I never did him wrong. Days after that, John was secretly messing with me at work. Rumors and false accusations began to spread like wildfire throughout the company. He came up with a malicious tale, alleging that our son was a product of an affair I had with our boss. It was a desperate attempt to ruin my reputation and turn my colleagues against me. The consequences were immediate and devastating. I found myself facing judgment and criticism from colleagues. The once supportive work environment transformed into a battlefield of whispers and pointed glances. The weight of the rumors bore down on me, affecting my daily life and tainting my professional relationship. The stress and negativity were casting a shadow over my every step. It felt as if I was walking on eggshells, wondering who might believe John and turn their back on me. One fateful day, I mastered the courage to confront John. The weight of the rumors and false accusations had become unbearable, and I needed answers. I brought him into a conference room where nobody was paying attention and started questioning him right away. "John, we need to talk. I can't carry this burden of false accusations any longer. Tell me the truth. Are you behind all of this?"
What? What are you talking about?
"Cut the act, John. I know it was you. The rumor, the campaign against me, it's all because of you. Tell me the truth."
Fine, yes, I started those rumors, but don't worry, there's no way anyone will ever find out. I'm too clever for that.
You think you're untouchable, don't you?
Of course I do, because I am. You'll watch as your life crumbles to the ground.
I can't believe I married you in the first place. You are a monster.
Whatever, Mary. Watch me ruin you. You should never have left me.
Oh, so you think you're so clever? Well, let me enlighten you.
What are you talking about?
Take a good look over there. What do you see?
I don't see anything.
Exactly. That object, in the corner, the microphone? I set it up, John. I recorded our conversation and it's being played on the company's radio system right about now.
You're bluffing. There's no way you could have done that.
Believe what you want, but the evidence is right there. Your confession will be broadcasted for everyone to hear. The truth will no longer remain hidden. John's face paled, his eyes widening in disbelief as he grasped the gravity of the situation. The tables had turned and the weight of his actions now loomed over him like a dark cloud.
You can't do this to me. You're just trying to ruin my life.
No, John. Your actions have already ruined me. It's time for the truth to come out. I won't let you get away with this any longer. His anger and frustration boiled over, and John realized that it was his life that was about to be ruined. I was going to leave him there, but then I realized he was looking really weird. His eyes were filled with violence and fury. Then he acted. John jumped over the conference table to reach me, but I managed to stay out of his grasp. I was really afraid, and my instincts told me to find a way out. I looked around the room quickly, trying to find a place to protect myself. The tension in the air was thick, and I knew I had to act fast. John was determined to catch me, and he pushed chairs and stuff off of his way. He was really angry and wanted to shut me up and destroy any proof of what he did. I found a hiding spot behind some filing cabinets and I was breathing really fast, trying to stay calm. The room felt like a maze and I had to be careful not to get caught. The struggle echoed through the office with the noise of chairs falling and our footsteps ringing out. It was chaotic and intense and I was deeply aware of the danger that I was in. But fortune smiled upon me that day. My manager, alerted by the commotion, burst into the room just in the nick of time. His timely intervention spared me from John's violence. After that, John's actions had finally caught up with him. As the news of the incident spread throughout the company, he faced the judgments he so rightly deserved. Legal action was taken against him. Right on the next day, my company gave him a call, informing him that he would be fired. The story spread quickly, and John lost all of his friends and acquaintances. Nobody could trust him anymore after that. A few months after, the court ordered John to pay child support as well as the fine he was responsible for when he tried to fabricate stories about me and attempt to harass me. In the aftermath of this chapter, I found solace and support in the unwavering love of my parents. They had stood by my side throughout the trials and tribulations, providing the stability and care that my child and I needed. With their guidance and encouragement, I embarked on the journey of raising my child with love, compassion, and devotion. As I watched Elijah grow, I vowed to create a nurturing environment. While the road ahead would undoubtedly hold its own set of hurdles, I knew that I possessed the strength and determination to face them head on. The love and support of my family served as a constant reminder that I was not alone in this journey. United, we forged a path of healing and growth, leaving behind the scars of the past and embracing a future filled with hope and possibility. I am so excited for what's to come. Good morning, guys. What's the plan for today?
Morning, babe. Sam and I were just discussing going out for brunch. What do you think?
Well, I think Macy should change her outfit first. That dress is so frumpy and outdated. It's not doing any favors for her figure.
Oh, I thought it looked nice. It's comfortable and I like the print.
Comfortable, maybe, but it's doing nothing to enhance your looks, dear. Maybe you should take some fashion tips from me, Fred. Don't you agree?
Well, Sam does have a good sense of style. You could definitely use some improvement, Macy. It's just a suggestion.
I didn't realize my outfit was such a problem. You're my boyfriend and best friend. Don't you two think you should be more supportive?
Oh, please. Fred has always had an eye for fashion. It's clear he has better taste than you, Macy.
I feel like you two are ganging up against me.
Oh, don't be sensitive, Macy. We are just joking around. Can't you take a little teasing?
Yeah, it's not our fault if you can't handle some constructive criticism. We're just trying to help you.
It feels like you're tearing me down.
Come on, Macy, don't overreact. We were just giving our honest opinions.
Exactly. Stop being such a crybaby, Macy. Learn to take a joke once in a while.
Well, okay, let me go get changed then.
That's our girl. Hurry up, alright?
My name is Macy, a 35-year-old woman who had been married to my husband Fred for 5 years. Our life in California together was comfortable, But something unexpected happened that turned everything upside down. One day, out of the blue, my childhood best friend Sam reached out to me. Sam was a really beautiful and adventurous girl who was 2 years younger than me. We had been inseparable during our younger years. We shared secrets, dreams, and countless adventures. However, as we grew older, Sam started making choices that led her down a troublesome path. She began dating problematic guys, and as a result, our bond slowly began to fade. There were rumors that she had become pregnant by one of her ill fated partners and had even left her family behind to be with him. When Sam contacted me, I was caught off guard. Memories of our past flooded my mind, both the cherished moments we had shared and the troubles that came later. I had no idea what happened to her rumored baby or partner. Despite the difficulties we had faced together, I couldn't ignore the connection we once had. Deep down, I still cared for Sam and hoped that maybe this was an opportunity for her to turn her life around. Although hesitant at first, I eventually agreed to let Sam stay with us in California. I made the decision without revealing our complicated history to my husband Fred. I knew it wouldn't be an easy situation to explain, and I didn't want to burden him with the complexities of my past friendship. Besides, I believed in the power of forgiveness and second chances. Sam arrived at our home with a mix of excitement and apprehension. As we settled her into the guest room, memories of our shared childhood flooded back. I couldn't help but notice the toll her troubled past had taken on her. Her once vibrant and carefree spirit seemed overshadowed by the scars she carried. Over the days that followed, Sam and I spent time catching up, reminiscing about the good times while delicately avoiding the painful chapters. We laughed, cried, and shared stories like we used to, reliving the bond we once had. It was as if time had momentarily stood still, allowing us to reconnect on a profound level. She also let me in on her past. It turned out there was never any baby, but the partners she had were all jerks. She was determined to turn her life around, and she knew I would lend her a helping hand. As the days turned into weeks, Fred grew curious about the mysterious guest staying in our home. He questioned me about her, sensing that there was more to the story than I had initially revealed. I reassured him that Sam was simply an old friend going through a tough time, leaving out the details of our complicated history. Deep down, I knew that by keeping this secret, I was treading on thin ice. The truth had a way of unraveling even the most carefully woven fabric of deception, but I couldn't bring myself to expose Sam's past to Fred, not when she was finally trying to rebuild her life. In the beginning, Sam maintained a distance, retreating into her own room for most of the days. However, as time passes, I started noticing a change in her demeanor. Sam's guarded attitude slowly melted away, revealing something that seemed to resonate with my husband Fred. To my surprise, Fred's curiosity about Sam slowly pulled them closer to each other. There was a subtle alliance between Fred and Sam that really bugged me. They began spending more time together, engrossed in conversation that stopped abruptly whenever I approached. It didn't take long before their friendship turned into a campaign against me. They were giving hurtful remarks as if I had unknowingly become the target of their mockery. One day during the weekend, as soon as I walked out of my bedroom with a nice outfit, I could already feel their judgmental looks. Good morning, guys. What's the plan for today?
Morning, babe. Sam and I were just discussing going out for brunch. What do you think?
Well, I think Macy should change her outfit first. That dress is so frumpy and outdated. It's not doing any favors for her figure.
Oh, I thought it looked nice. It's comfortable, and I like the print.
Comfortable, maybe, but it's doing nothing to enhance your looks, dear. Maybe you should take some fashion tips from me. Fred, don't you agree?
Well, Sam does have a good sense of style. You could definitely use some improvement, Macy. It's just a suggestion.
I didn't realize my outfit was such a problem. You're my boyfriend and best friend. Don't you think you two should be more supportive?
Oh, please. Fred has always had an eye for fashion. It's clear he has better taste than you, Macy.
I feel like you two are ganging up against me.
Oh, don't be so sensitive, Macy. We're just joking around. Can't you take a little teasing?
Yeah, it's not our fault if you can't handle some constructive criticism. We're just trying to help you.
It feels like you are tearing me down.
Come on, Macy, don't overreact. We were just giving our honest opinions.
Exactly. Stop being such a crybaby. Macy, learn to take a joke once in a while.
Well, okay. Let me go get changed then.
That's our girl. Hurry up, alright?
I felt isolated, like an outsider in my own home. Every interaction with Fred and Sam became a minefield. Desperate for answers, I confronted Fred, hoping to understand the sudden shift in his behavior. But he dismissed my concerns with a wave, telling me that I was overreacting. His denial only fueled my confusion, leaving me wondering if I was losing my grip on reality. One fateful day, as I tidied up my bedroom, I stumbled upon a pair of earrings that didn't belong to me. Instantly, my mind went to an unsettling conclusion. Sam had been secretly entering my room when I wasn't around. The discovery left me feeling violated and betrayed. I couldn't ignore the sinking feeling in my gut. It felt like it was a concrete sign that there was something going on between Sam and Fred. I decided to gather information discreetly. I struck up casual conversations with the building's security guards, subtly inquiring about any unusual occurrences. Little by little, they shared bits of information that sent shivers down my spine. It turned out that Fred had been returning to our home well before his usual time. The revelation hit me like a ton of bricks, casting a shadow of doubts over our marriage. Why would he need to sneak away from work? What was he doing during those hours? Fred's early return and Sam's presence in my room couldn't be a mere coincidence. My mind raced with so many emotions, ranging from disbelief to heartbreak. The two people I had once held closest to my heart were somehow involved. The hurtful remarks, the mockery, they had all been in it against me. Every word, every action replayed in my mind with a different lens. The nights Fred had come home with excuses that seemed feeble now, the times Sam had retreated to her room, acting like she was innocent. Everything is suspicious now. I vowed to uncover the full extent of their betrayal, to protect myself from the devastating blows they had caused. I slowly come up with the perfect plan to test their loyalty. I meticulously planned a surprise party for Fred to celebrate a promotion at work that he had had recently. I reached out to my parents-in-law, inviting them to be part of the celebration. They didn't know that their presence would serve as the final piece of the puzzle, and they will be witnessing firsthand Fred's dark secret. Of course, I told Fred that I would be out of town that day. I gave him and Sam just enough time to have fun with each other in my own bedroom. As the day of the party arrived, I was nervous. I quietly unlocked the door to my own home, knowing that what I would uncover could never be undone. With a mixture of anticipation and resolve, I led my parents in law to the bedroom. The door swung open, revealing a sight that shattered their hearts. There, in the very center of the room, stood Fred and Sam. Were entangled in the most disgusting affair. Shock washed over my parents in law, their faces etched with disbelief and sorrow. Fred and Sam were both in shock. They quickly covered themselves with the blanket.
Wait, it's not what it seemed like. Please, Macy.
I have nothing to say to you. I am leaving this house.
Wait, Macy, listen. Mom, Dad, please, don't look at me like that.
I'm sorry. This is all just a misunderstanding. I swear. Wait, Macy, where are you going? You can't just leave me like this. Come back here and face me, you coward.
Shut up, Sam.
They were a mess, but I didn't respond. I couldn't even face them anymore. I asked Fred's parents to get them out of my face, and they listened. I left Fred and Sam there to confront Fred's parents. I went straight to my suitcase and started packing and left. Nobody was stopping me. I moved to a friend's house, waiting for that nightmare to be all over. I had already sent the divorce papers to Fred, so now the only thing I could do was just wait. During these days, I was devastated. I had never been so miserable in my whole life. The truth really weighed upon me. And even though I didn't regret what I did, it was still tough to admit that my husband was cheating on me with my childhood best friend. Just a few days after my departure, a phone call from Fred's parents completely changed everything. Their voices trembled with worry as they revealed that Sam had vanished without a trace. Fred's parents reported her disappearance to the police, and they started looking into her troublesome past. It turned out that there had been a lot that Sam didn't tell me. Sam had been entangled in a web of fraud. Worse yet, she had manipulated Fred into becoming an accomplice, convincing him to steal over $500,000 from his company's funds. The weight of the revelation pressed upon me. Her true colors had been unveiled in the most devastating way possible. Now that she had disappeared, Fred was all alone to bear all the consequences. I made the decision to cooperate with the authorities. I shared every detail that I knew, providing the police with the necessary information about Sam and putting an end to her crimes. Days turned into weeks as the investigation unfolded. Finally, the law reached her and she was arrested at a bar in Montana. As the legal process unfolded, Fred faced the harsh reality of his actions. The consequences of his involvement came crashing down upon him in the form of hefty fines and legal repercussions. Fred's parents were devastated. To be completely honest, I did feel bad for them. After all, they had been really kind in-laws to me, but unfortunately, their son was just a cheating, lying jerk. Meanwhile, Sam faced even graver charges. The judicial system would show her no mercy. She was put in jail, and I knew that was probably going to be the last time I would see her. Even if she managed to get out of jail as a changed woman, I wouldn't want to see her again. She had crossed a line and then ruined my life. And to think all I was trying to do was lend her a helping hand. The aftermath of the ordeal left me emotionally drained. But amidst the pain, I found strength. I made a firm resolve to move forward. It was time to reclaim my life, focusing on healing and rebuild a bright future. With renewed determination, I embraced a path of self discovery and self care. I sought solace in the support of loved ones and get better day by day. As time passed, I pursued new passions that had long been neglected, rediscovering the joys and talents. And that was when I crossed paths with Nick. It happened one sunny afternoon while I was attending a local community event. Engrossed in the festivities, I found myself drawn to a captivating display of artwork. As I admired the intricate brushstrokes and vibrant colors, a warm voice resonated beside me. Turning to face the source of the voice, I was met with the most genuine, kind eyes. We struck up a conversation, effortlessly sharing our thoughts on art, life, and the myriad of experiences that had shaped us. We discovered shared interests, shared values, and a deep understanding. Nick possessed a compassionate nature, always attentive and empathetic to those around him. With him, I found a safe haven where I could fully embrace my journey of healing. Together, we embarked on adventures, whether it was hiking through scenic trails, exploring quaint towns, or simply sharing quiet moments of joy in each other's company. We navigated life's ups and downs together, communicating openly and honestly. Nick was truly a partner who cherished and respected me, someone who brought light and joy into my life. And so, with a heart brimming with gratitude and a free spirit, I walked towards a brighter future, leaving behind the toxic past and embracing a life filled with love, joy, and the promise of a happily ever after.